still can't believe that I did that. Does this mean I'm the antagonist of Spade-A-Thon 2019? I'm so ready. I have my stapler. I still have a stapler. I was gonna use it for something, but I didn't finish what I was doing. Alright. Sounds good. Alright. Wait, am I on stream? Oh! Oops. Alright, hi. Welcome to Play Chat. I'm still kinda losing it from Spectre. The last character we have to show, this king, is unfortunately still not out yet. But it'll happen soon, we just gotta be patient. Meanwhile, these three are still a gem. We'll see, we're gonna get started really soon. Hopefully. Nope, okay. Wrong button, there we go. Yeah, we're just waiting on stream. There we go. Yeah. So the other characters, Spectre, obviously, with the rail mail, you want to be on the ground a lot because you wanted to be skating as much as possible. Plague Knight's kind of the opposite. What you want to be doing with Plague Knight is you actually want to be in the air as much as possible because bursting gives you a huge amount of speed, and using double jumps and chaining bursts together, you can actually stay in mid-air for longer, and as long as you're like still moving in the direction you bursted in, your speed will not change. So the air is what's going to allow us to move at our best speed at all times. Every character gets like a speed benefit by jumping. You don't have to wait for a run build-up. That usually happens. You can just get to your full speed, but bursting is better than just running at full speed, obviously. And it's, again, unlike Spectre, it's not something we unlock. We immediately have it. So the run kind of immediately shows itself, and Plague's actually a great showcase of what the run is going to be like for the next however long the races are going to be playing, which is going to be probably under 45 minutes, hopefully. The level wrap from Shovel Knight also works here. We can see the runners going for it now. You kind of have to do some above the screen shenanigans. Breadpan falling a little bit behind, missing it, but still getting it fairly quickly, so not losing too much time. Tohloo looks to be in the lead, getting into Black Knight, and of course, Black Knight is stun lockable. MooMoo stun locking on the left side, interesting, but got it to work out. The more common version is what you see on the right side. Breadpan messing it up a little bit at the end, and I don't know, for the Plains guy, Breadpan kinda had a few slip-ups in Plains compared to the other two. But still making it out with a very decent time. We have the village now. A bit more to do in the village than Shovel Knight's leaving. We have to destroy a house, which is... why would you not destroy a house? But this house actually holds a secret entrance into Plague Knight's lab, because we can't go in the normal village, because we're meanies. But in here, we have the Potionarium. And the Potionarium is... we don't use it too much. The basic bomb layout that we get at the start of the game, the layout of fuse, powder, stuff like that, is actually fairly good. So we don't need to use money or the Cypher coins to get some of those, which is good. And we can just leave and jump right into the next stage. Breadpan and MooMoo are going into Pride more, which is a little bit faster to do, but Tohloo went into the harder Lich Yard, which is, I mean, in a PvE attempt, you might do this one first if you want to sacrifice a little time just to get a much harder stage out of the way. But I'll talk a bit more about Pridemore Keep because not only are more people doing that one right now, but also it's the one you usually see first. Pridemore Keep's main thing is that there are a lot of low ceilings, and so you kind of have to learn how to maintain your airtime with really low ceilings, which is a lot on timing and can be pretty tricky to do. However, it's fairly easy to train on, and eventually it kind of just becomes second nature as normal bursting is. It's also a good time to discuss that you see here MooMoo and Breadpan just did a damage boost. Something I don't know if it was mentioned during the other characters, every character has a different weight. I guess you could call it a weight. And Leg is the lightest character, so that means when he takes damage, he flies the farthest. So that actually makes damage boosts more useful than the other characters, kind of. Tohloo entering Spectre Knight at around the same time MooMoo and Breadpan are entering King Knight. With King Knight, the thing is, you kind of want to use the bursts and the bombs to push him around a bit, so that he'll jump towards you, and based on his position towards you, will be kind of repeatedly jumping against a wall. Meanwhile, for Spectre Knight, you're hoping for a 50-50 chance on where he throws a scythe. It seems like both of these bosses went fairly well. MooMoo having a little bit of a better fight than Breadpan. I noticed that Breadpan kind of let King Knight jump to the right a bit too much. Since you come in from the left side, you want King Knight to go more to the left side. And yes, Tohloo's Spectre Knight fight was insanely clean. That was a very good fight, and we'll have to just see what MooMoo and Breadpan do about it. So they're going to be heading into Lich Yard. Well, Tohloo goes back to Pridemore Keep. So the Lich Yard, I didn't explain a lot while Tohloo was doing it, because I was talking more about the top half of the screen. So I'll take a bit to explain here, while Tohloo just kind of goes through a lot of what I've already explained. The Lich Yard is much harder than Pridemore Keep, as I've mentioned. It has a lot more of these kind of screens you see here, where you have to do some weird burst shenanigans to kind of move vertically in a way. The height you get from burst isn't the most impressive where you want it to be, so it's kind of a matter of making sure you use the most of what you get from your burst and your double jump. Also, it has frogs. The frogs are very evil because they kind of just jump however they want, and so they can get in the of your bombs. Like you see there, MooMoo struggled a little bit because a frog just jumped right next to the skull that he wanted to push. Oh, I see what Tohloo is doing. So Tohloo is using a alternate route that saves a little bit of time, known as Big Boom. Big Boom is important because you want, it's a projectile that does more damage, and I didn't pick up on this for some reason during Lich Yard, but the reason Big Boom route actually goes to Spectre Knight first is to get enough money to buy the Arcana from Chester there. Usually you can find the Shovel Knight relics and then trade those in to Chester to get the Arcana for completely free. MooMoo taking a death in that dark room there, unfortunately, meaning Breadpan kind of has the lead. Of course, we're just going to see a little bit of the time saved with Big Boom throughout the run by Tohloo. It did look like MooMoo grabbed the safety checkpoint there, which is the checkpoint that wastes a tiny little bit of time before Spectre Knight, or before the last dark room, so that's good. And Tohloo's entering King Knight with a pretty good fight. So the thing about Spectre is that on the second scythe throw, it's a coin flip whether he'll go to the opposite side or the same side as where he threw it from. You want to get the same side, which it looks like MooMoo got, but got hit trying to finish up the fight. So now they're all out of World 1. Breadpan with an early lead, despite struggling a little bit compared to MooMoo. He did have a Deathless Lich Yard and did not pick up Big Boom. Again, picking up Big Boom isn't necessarily a time loss, it just means that the Primordial will take a little bit longer, and the time saves of it will add up to make Tohloo gain some time over the other two during the run. So, coming up now is Explodatorium. A lot of the level orders that we do are based on map movement, but of course, once we get into World 3, that'll change, but right now we are still in World 2, the next set of levels. Explodatorium is a very difficult stage, because not only is there a lot of breaking things, but when you're playing as Plague Knight himself, which is usually the boss of this level, you are causing a lot of explosions just by attacking, really. When you're attacking and when you're bursting, you are causing explosions to happen. And because of that, you will see a lot of kind of chaos going on due to things breaking around you and just general not good times. Breadpan, the first one to be Alchemeister, gets a really good kill. I don't know if you can kill him pre-transformation, but didn't get to move to the left side of the screen, which is really what you're hoping for. Okay. So, MooMoo is now going to be entering the Alchemeister, and what I'm told with Tohloo's Big Boom strat here, it is possible to kill pre-transformation, which did not get, unfortunately. Missed one hit. I have Exploud in my ear. I can get it. It's a very scary thought, but whatever. So, Shovel Knight. You might— oh! Breadpan messing this up a bit. So you might notice with Shovel Knight that with this stage, the runners wanted to get their health fairly low. The thing with this fight is you want to stun lock Shovel Knight in the corner, which Breadpan's trying to set back up, but it's not successful, taking a death. But you'll see with MooMoo. Okay, so MooMoo and Tohloo both have 3 HP entering this fight. Shovel Knight's fight is interesting because he can use many of the relics, including ones that you're not supposed to have at this point in the game, to help him in this fight. However, if you're at 3 HP or less, Shovel Knight will not use a relic known as the Phase Locket, which will make him invisible for 3 seconds, and that makes that stun lock entirely possible, which is why, actually, you see Breadpan going back to take damage after dying initially. And one thing you saw both of them do, which Breadpan also succeeded at, once you get the 7th hit on Shovel Knight, he's supposed to use an item called a Red Ichor, which will fully heal him. If he's at a certain part in the Warhorn animation, which actually only he uses if he's in a pit, like the stun lock sets him up to be, he will not use the Red Ichor due to already kind of being committed to the animation. There's a small amount of time where the animation's like a commitment and not something he can cancel out of with the Ichor, and it will save 7 hits as well as like a second or 2 of a cutscene where he heals himself. So it looks like Tohloo and MooMoo are basically tied into Iron Whale right now. As I mentioned, with Iron Whale, the main thing of— as I mentioned with Plague Knight in general, he is based on aerial movement to move as fast as possible. However, in the water, you need to move, or you fall very slowly, and there are some places where you need to screen transition by going down. So it kind of becomes a fight against the speedrun, in a way. It's a really weird way to say it, and I don't know why I worded it like that, but I guess it worked. Because the main thing you're doing is you're just trying to make sure you still get the speed from the height, but don't kind of curse yourself to spending a long time falling down to the bottom of the screen. Meanwhile, Breadpan is actually in Lost City. I forgot Breadpan does this. This is a harder stage than Iron Whale for sure. Even with Tohloo here being the RNG nightmare that he is, there's a lot of flying over lava and a lot of breaking stuff that Plague has to deal with in MooMoo stage. So, Breadpan sacrifices, like, I think we talked about it a few runs ago, it's 2 map tile movements in order to just make this harder level out of the way first. And one thing you saw at the beginning that's going to be performed again near the end is Breadpan is going to do a set of bursts and stuff like that over the lava to skip riding a large beetle that you're supposed to ride across the lava pit to get through the stage. But now, Breadpan's going to be entering the MooMoo Knight fight. The main thing about the MooMoo Knight fight here is the hits you get on before MooMoo Knight goes underground. Eventually, MooMoo Knight will go underground, and then when they come back up, they'll do an attack where they become invincible. So, ideally, you'll do what Breadpan did, and kill him well before he goes underground. However, that's not the main thing. Although it loses a few seconds to have him go underground, the big thing is that you can kill him before he goes invincible, because that invincible attack takes a very long time. Runners of these levels really will never see the invincible attack, and very rarely see MooMoo Knight successfully burrow underground. So it was a very good fight by Breadpan. MooMoo and Tohloo and Treasure Knight in the other case. Treasure Knight's a very easy boss fight, but there is a little bit of luck involved, and the main part of this luck is that you don't want Treasure Knight to die while at the top of the screen, because you have to be at the bottom of the screen and have the boss dead on the ground in order to actually collect their essence, and you will lose, I think, 3 seconds maybe, if you have to watch Treasure Knight fall all the way down to the bottom of the screen while in the water. So Breadpan is now entering Iron Whale, meanwhile Tohloo and MooMoo will be entering Lost City. Breadpan was the first one to get their second World 2 boss kill, however, Lost City is a shorter stage than Iron Whale, and Tohloo is a big part of that because there's an auto-scroller there. Meanwhile, we're skipping the Lost City auto-scrollers with bursts, and I mentioned with the beetle skips. So, it's kind of another thing with Big Boom Round, where we'll see who's actually ahead once we're leaving World 2. Would you say, I know stream can't hear you, but Exploud, would you say that Lost City is like the biggest? Oh, MooMoo taking that. Would you say Lost City is like the biggest time save that Big Boom has between all the levels? Or? Oh yeah, the boss rush, of course, but I was trying to shit. I heard Tower 2. I'm sorry. This is still a big one, because I mentioned all the exploding parts, and having a bigger hitbox to hit all those with, it just sounds good. I feel like that's something that is kind of understandable why it's good just by hearing what it does. Tohloo onto MooMoo Knight, very good fight. Seemed fairly similar to the one Bread got, maybe just a tiny bit slower, but was still, again, the fight you're looking for. Breadpan about to be entering Treasure Knight. I think it's safe to say we know who's kind of in what place. Tohloo, Breadpan, MooMoo. Because there is different enough times between these boss fights to know that. We see Treasure Knight for Breadpan, though, going to the ceiling, which I mentioned you don't want. But he got down before really at the kill, so no need to worry about it. Gonna be moving on to World 3 shortly. And we're gonna see Tohloo here go kind of break the map order fast thing and go straight to Propeller Knight stage, the flying machine. This is not just because it is it is probably the hardest level in the whole game. It is a very dangerous level. But I mentioned with Tohloo about buying the Arcana, and this stage has an Arcana that is extremely useful for the latter half of the run. I'll talk more about it when we actually collect said Arcana, but it's the main motivator of the whole route of this level. Yeah, there we go, and Bing Boom absolutely destroying the Dingy Dropper. And exactly what Pickle said in chat, involving this stage actually being made a little bit easier. In Plague of Shadows, it's still dangerous. Like, no amount of nerfing I think will make it not dangerous unless you put a block over everything and remove every Gala. My favorite nerf is the Tinker 1 nerf, but that's later. Tohloo bought the Staff of Striking here. And the Staff of Striking is very big because it gives us a physical attack. Or not a physical, but a melee attack, I guess you could say. Up until now, with the exception of, well, Big Boom's a bomb. So, up until now we've been using exclusively projectile bombs to hit enemies. But the Staff will let us get very fast-moving, close-range damage, which is really good. It helps us tear through bosses faster than before, which gets me to talking about the magic meter. You see the power bar to the left of the health. That determines how much we can use the Arcana. The main way this works is that it will slowly regenerate when not being used, and it will go down, obviously, when used. MooMoo taking third death. Which is unfortunate. Tohloo getting through Wind Tunnel there, but still has this screen. This is a really scary part of the stage to do optimally. But the magic bar. So the way this is gonna work is that it regenerates when not in use. However, if you completely exhaust the bar, it has to fully regenerate before you can use magic. So, going into Propeller Knight here, Tohloo still wants to use a bit of bombs and Big Boom, but wants to budget magic to not have to deal with waiting for the whole bar to refill. That was an amazing kill, that Propeller Knight. I don't know about the Big Boom kill, but just from what I know, that was a really good Propeller kill. Breadpan. Alright, also getting that strat. The scariest thing about that optimal wind tunnel strat is you're not only, like, playing footsies with the spikes, you're also skipping the checkpoint in that room. So you have to be sent back to, only a few rooms that aren't too bad, really, but you're still being sent backwards. Breadpan gonna play it risky and actually break a checkpoint here. Tohloo into... Okay, listen, I don't want to hear your sass, because nobody else can hear it, so why do I have to? But Tohloo's into the second Black Knight fight, which can be stun lock similar to the first. However, if you don't get that, you can do what you saw Tohloo do, in which you want to kind of chain a staff hit into jumping in the air. When you're in the air, the arc that you throw your bomb at is a much more diagonal downward, instead of the normal kind of lob that you do when you're doing a standard throw. So it helps the bomb connect to the Black Knight faster in that strategy of the fight. MooMoo being the last one to fight Propeller here. At a point where a good staff combo can kill, let's see. Breadpan messing up, okay. Trying to get into a bomb-only lock on the left side of the screen. We'll see how that goes. Alright, getting into Bomb and Staff. Tohloo into Stranded Ship. The stage which I was told Big Boom gives the biggest time save for. And one of the best, okay. So, we'll see if we can, I can notice any bigger things with the, I see a lot of blocks breaking a lot quicker than they do sometimes. Which is, of course, good. This stage has a lot of blocks. In a lot of not very good spots. Also a lot of enemies. You saw we pushed the knight in a pit. That knight is usually very annoying. Getting through the Hammer Bros, very good job. The Hammer Bros like to just bop you into the pits, and you can't do much about it, so you have to be careful with them. There are a few platforms there that I don't think are there in Shovel of Hope, so if you get hit early on, it can back you up. But totally didn't do that. And now heading into the final screen. Getting into the ending parts of Stranded Ship is actually very scary because a lot of enemies in this stage do 2 damage instead of 1. But Tohloo making it through, only going 4 HP and not taking the health restore before Polar Knight, does have a tonic. So it does have like 1 heart to regenerate, but we'll see if he even needs it. Nope. Very nicely done. Now Breadpan and MooMoo are like fairly close to each other. Breadpan is maybe around the halfway point of the stage, maybe a little bit past it. MooMoo's just entering the stage. Tohloo is exiting the stage, so it's a fairly decent lead for Tohloo. I want to say at least a minute, maybe just around a minute. It is a very good lead to have going into the later stage. Tohloo is going to take this time to buy magic upgrades, so we will have the maximum magic bar possible, which allows us to use more big... He just big boomed one of the thingy guys, just on his way out. Allows us more big booms and more staff strikes, which is only a good thing. So the last stage before the end game here, we have Tohloo into Clockwork Tower. A lot of moving parts. That's a clock for you. And it's a very interesting stage. We have the magic upgrades, we have the staff, and in Tohloo's case, we have the big boom. So Clockwork Tower is really just the best, the showcase of what the end game is gonna bring, while still not maintaining the hardest of level designs. Tower definitely amps some stuff up. Breadpan's gonna be buying... Oh, Breadpan actually took an alternate route, where you can buy the magic upgrades before Polar Knight stage. And I think it saves a tiny bit of time if you are good with gold, but you usually don't see it because you usually don't need the magic upgrades to deal with Polar Knight. MooMoo doesn't have them, and Tohloo didn't have them. Tohloo did have a skip there, which he did. It's supposed to be an auto-scrollery type thing, but instead of the screen actually scrolling itself, it's just a moving platform over a bunch of spikes. So you need to wait for the platform, but using damage boosts, you can get across the entire stage without needing the platform. MooMoo at half a heart, taking the tonic, very good. But jump, running right on the spikes anyways. Tonics can't help you from spikes. Tonics are not only just kind of 1 health healing, or 2 HP healing items that you can carry on you, but they do also temporarily increase your max health until you die. So they can be helpful for that. Because the normal max health that you usually get in this campaign is 7, because you get a health up potion after each world, which is a set of 3 levels. Tohloo coming into Tinker here. For the first phase, in Plague of Shadows, a lot of attacks actually do 2 damage instead of 1 against this guy, because it's kind of hard to hit him sometimes. This is not true for Tinker 2, though, because as you can see, it's actually fairly easy to hit Tinker 2 with just about anything from anywhere. Tohloo pulling off a pretty good fight. So now MooMoo entering Clockwork Tower. It's pretty interesting to see, actually, with the gap that the two have. It's fairly similar to when they were entering Stranded Ship, so I don't know what the time gain kind of ratio is involving the length of Clockwork Tower and Stranded Ship. Breadpan is now in Tinker, so I think Clockwork Tower might be a shorter stage than Stranded Ship. The auto-scroller definitely makes it feel longer, but other than the auto-scroller, there's not too much to it. But Tohloo is now heading into the final levels of the game. Breadpan, not exhausting magic completely on Tinker 2, so it's gonna be good for a really good kill there. A little bit better than Tohloo's kill because it was able to land more bombs well after Tinker's charge to the left, so had to do less with the staff. Just very minor improvement there. MooMoo going for the moving platform skips. Alright, there we go. Had a bit weird, but threw a bomb to stall in midair so that the ghost could very easily boost him to the right. I actually think, looking at it, that MooMoo might have bought a pack of tonics when buying the magic. It's very cheap and it's a safe option to take. Tohloo is in the tower now, the tower being the final 3 levels. If you haven't noticed yet, which I haven't mentioned, Plague of Shadows uses modified versions of the slightly modified versions of the Shuffle Hope levels. So a lot of the dangers of Shovel Knight's run, if you watch the low percent race between MooMoo and Smoggy, come back here. You have to kind of be very careful about a lot of the enemy. And that Crusher room is definitely a difficult one. But then you have this dark room here to end it off. Ooh, that was a kind of scary anchor hit there, but Tohloo did not let that as bad as it could have been. MooMoo entering Tinker Knight. Let's see how this goes. Very nicely done. Gonna go into Tinker 2. Well, Tohloo's going into Black Knight 3. So Black Knight 3, the final of the Black Knight fights. Ooh, missing that. If Black Knight does that little teleport and then you can hit him, you manage to hit him before he starts his attack where he zooms to the left and right of the screen, you don't have to see that attack, which is good because you can't really hit him during that attack, so you don't want to see it. However, unfortunately, Tohloo having a bit of problems here with the fight in general. Finally getting a place where he's not moving, so he can just go into the door and end the fight, or go into the air and end the fight. But speaking of the door, you do want to finish this fight on the right side of the screen, because otherwise you have to watch Plague Knight walk all the way to that door to enter the tower. Meanwhile, if you're on the right side of the screen, you just have to, you know, wait for the door to open, which takes the same amount of time every time. So now into the second stage of tower for Tohloo. MooMoo's going to be entering the first stage of tower, the entrance. So we have entrance and ascent. Breadpan's about to be entering ascent as well. Also in a very good place for the door. Tower Ascent is really interesting to me because it has a lot of very weird rooms, I guess you could put it. This is one of the most odd laid out stages. A lot of the rooms have a lot of weird things going on in them. Tohloo is good. Had a little bit of panic there. Fell away from above the screen, which you usually want to stay throughout that room to avoid the Jawas there. but still getting through into this auto-scroller. Breadpan's gonna be making his way to auto-scroller. I think he'll be in the auto-scroller before Tohloo exits it, if nothing terrible happens. Which, Breadpan's been on a really good run, and so is Tohloo, obviously. MooMoo, unfortunately, has had a few deaths, but still has been playing alright. This is still a great pace, 33 minutes in and over halfway through Tower 1. But it's just unfortunate that there have been deaths. Well, meanwhile, I don't think Bread or Tohloo have died yet. And it's definitely... It's rare to see a race where two people have not died in Tower 2, and they're in Tower 2. Oh, I forgot. Bread, yeah, okay. There was a death by Bread, I remember. Yeah. Thanks for reminding me. I totally forgot about that one. It's totally easy to forget, too, like, with how well Bread has done in almost every other stage of the run. Like, that one mistake kind of eluded me. And I don't remember Tohloo dying at all, so if you remember that, then that's a surprise to me. But Tohloo's in the boss rush now. There's a little bit of a change to the boss rush compared to Shovel Knight's campaign, and that is Shovel Knight is in the boss rush. And also apparently didn't use the checkpoint. I somehow missed that. That is not good. The boss rush is very scary. The Polar Knight thing still stands. Polar Knight is still going for 3 bosses that you see, due to the insta-kill spikes being deemed kind of, you know, don't want to deal with those at the last boss. Shovel Knight, though, is going to guaranteed be the final boss of the boss rush, so we're just kind of waiting for him to show up, because he's kind of the big bad of the boss rush. Or if you want to get more illiterate, the big bad of the boss bash. The boss battle bash. Fred with an exclamation in chat. You might have noticed that he had to start by fighting Treasure. When Treasure jumps out of his seat, he can't. The game says, don't make Treasure land on top of you, because then you get unfairly damaged right as the fight begins. So he has to kind of move to the side in an animation that wastes a small amount of time. And Bread had to deal with that animation. Because of that, also, usually what you want to do when kill a boss in the boss rush, as long as Treasure is still, like, available, you want to move away from Treasure Knight, so that you don't have to deal with that animation if he's next. Tohloo has Treasure Knight to do still. And yep, coming out right there. You can see just kind of immediately going back down to the ground. And yeah, you're gonna see here the time loss from... Wait, what? Okay, I need somebody to clip that with Tinker dying. Or not Tinker dying, but Treasure dying, because I swear I'm not seeing things, am I? Okay, but now Tohloo's gonna be heading to the Shovel Knight fight. You kind of want to do something similar to what you did to Black Knight 2 here, where you can blaze a staff into aerial bomb throw stun lock. The problem with this is that, as you can see, Tohloo is at way more than 3 health, so we might be Shovel Knight. Shovel Knight might soon be doing the phase locket, which makes him invincible for 3 seconds. Once Shovel Knight's at 3 HP or less himself, he won't throw the phase locket out. So if you get, yeah, there it is. Yeah. So, like, what you can do, you can see Breadpan take damage on purpose there. You can't I-core skip here because the kind of, I'm forgetting the term that I'm trying to think of here. the criteria for Shovel Knight actually using the Warhorn, which is what is used to do Ichor Skip in the Explodatorium fight, does not apply to the fight in the boss rush. So still has to deal with getting 7 extra hits, using his tonics to prevent having to die and getting through. That is a really scary fight to do like that. So Bread, it's very fortunate that he was actually able to finish that boss rush. Tohloo now in the final stage, which Bread is about to be entering, while MooMoo is still dancing with a few of the order. Has 4 more before Shovel. Alright, not bad. Tohloo gonna be entering Enchantress real soon. In the lair. So we'll see what Tohloo does with the Enchantress. We do have Big Boom, so I don't know if that's used a lot in the Enchantress fight. There we go. Tohloo going below the screen there to try and just rack up a lot of hits to finish that fight quickly. It's a very scary fight, the Enchantress, because after a certain amount of health is when she jumps down to the bottom of the screen, so if you don't do your damage properly, she could be down there for a while, not dying before she comes back up. But with Breadpan entering the Enchantress, Tohloo is going to be entering phase 2, or the second of the final bosses. We're gonna have Plague, which we had Shovel Knight replace Plague Knight as a boss fight here. Plague of Shadows basically plays like Plague Knight would in Shovel of Hope. So gonna be jumping around the screen, throwing bombs, summoning these bats to blow up across the entire screen, and got dirt blocks to play around with. These dirt blocks are constantly breaking, and I think they loop forever. I don't know if there's an endpoint to that fight, if you try and keep them alive. There is an Easter egg where you can end the fight by not moving, but if you move around and keep them alive, I think it goes on forever. And then the last phase of the 3 is the Corrupted Essence. Tohloo's gonna be going for 2 cycle, most likely. I don't know if you can go for 1 cycle on this. By hitting the bulb and making sure magic count and bomb throws are good to... Nope, not hitting 2 cycles. But still getting a good hit to get the 3rd cycle and ending the boss fight. MooMoo, pretty late into the Shovel Knight fight. There we go, very good. Done with the boss rush now as Breadpan is entering the Corrupted Essence fight. We'll see if Breadpan can notch a 2 cycle, which Tohloo was not able to get. Not looking too good. Only got 9 hits on cycle 1. However, if you're able to get 11 hits on cycle 2, it's possible. It actually can be beneficial to get 9 hits, because once you get to the halfway point of Corrupted Essence's health bar, he goes for more crazy attacks, which can be harder to work around. The main crazy thing about them is that he moves around more, which moves his weak point around more. So it can be hard to get a 3 cycle if you have to deal with it. But GG's to Tohloo and Breadpan, finishing within 30 seconds of each other. That is very nice. And 2 very nice race times. Those would both be High Alchemist times in the Spade Brigade server. MooMoo through the tile room, about to be entering the boss fight against the Enchantress. The 3 boss fights to end off the run. So we'll see. Setting up. Once you get your 9th hit is when the Enchantress does those things. So you have to kind of work around that. MooMoo getting a very good fight, getting undo and getting stack hits to end off phase 1. So phase 2, Plague of Shadows, coming up soon. Meanwhile, the other two are in the credits right now. Alright, let's see how Plague of Shadows goes for MooMoo. Looks like nobody decided to do the absolutely nothing kill. Which is understandable. It does about 10 to 15 seconds longer than an average Plague of Shadows fight. So you usually only see it when someone's memeing in a raid. Well, not really memeing, but just wanting to show it off. I was expecting MooMoo to do it because of, you know, just kind of the time difference, you know, maybe to show it off, but we're not going to be seeing that. And then getting into Corrupted Essence, we'll see if MooMoo can pull off a 2-cycle, because Tohloo and Breadpan both did not. Alright, getting 10 on first cycle. And hitting the washing machine. Let's see if we can get another 10. There we go! MooMoo with a 2-cycle. All of them sub 45 is really good. MooMoo with 44, 41. So that is GG's to all 3 of the racers. Again, really good. And yeah, that is any percent for Plague of Shadows. So now we've seen a race of all 3 characters at least. So yeah, congratulations to all 3 of them on a very good race. Very well done by all. That was pretty good. Coming up next is Shovel of Hope any percent. MooMoo is going to come back with Apple and Diesel for that. So see you in that. I won't be commentating that. I don't know who is, but we'll see you in that.